Today I want to talk about Netflix's Queen Cleopatra show. Now this show has already caused quite a bit of controversy since they race swapped Cleopatra from being the historically white Egyptian queen as she was to now being portrayed as a black Egyptian queen. Now race swapping itself wouldn't be as bad as it is in this case if it wasn't for the fact that they're marketing this as a documentary. When it's a fictional story or a fictional piece based on true events, you could probably get away with race swapping, but when it's billed as a documentary, that's meant to be historically accurate, so you can't really get away with race swapping characters in them. But it appears that the show has got the worst audience score in TV history on Rotten Tomatoes, which in itself is quite an achievement. There's a lot of terrible shows out there, so this must be really bad. Now, it's not really my thing. I have no intention of watching the show. I never had any intentions of watching the show, but I do think it must be terrible to have the worst score in TV history. Now, when this article was written, it had a 1% audience score and 13% critic score, so it's not even just the general audience that doesn't like this show, the critics don't like it either. It has since changed with the critic score now being at 10% and audience score has gone up to 2, but this is still not great. Netflix have really missed the mark with this one, and I don't think they know what to do with the amount of backlash they've got. Obviously the usual will be going around that if you don't like the show and you don't agree with the race swapping of Cleopatra, then you're going to be racist. I do believe that's already been said. But for the show to have the worst audience score in history, I do find it quite funny. Especially when you've got quotes like this. Why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Well, it's not that people need her to be white. It's just historically, she's white. She's from Greece. Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value, and for some Egyptians, it seems really to matter. Well, it will matter to Egyptians. She was an Egyptian queen. It's their history which you're trying to rewrite in this documentary series in hopes that it's going to get you some good pats on the back from the group of people you're trying to pander to. But it's majorly backfired and everybody seems to hate this show. After much hand-wriggling and countless auditions, we found Adele James, an actor who could convey not only Cleopatra's beauty but also her strength, and what historians can confirm is more likely that Cleopatra looked like Adele than Elizabeth Taylor ever did. Adele James is probably a good actress. I've not seen her in anything. She's probably doing the best she can with what she's got. But Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra was a Hollywood movie that never said it was a documentary and didn't claim to be one. There are historical facts stating that Cleopatra was white-skinned. She's from Greece. So you can't just go around race swapping and complain that it really seems to matter to some Egyptians. It's their history that you're trying to rewrite. Of course it's going to matter to some Egyptians. I mean, it's mattered that much that Egypt has now decided to make its own series on Cleopatra with a light-skinned star to make it more historically accurate than whatever Netflix has decided to make. Egypt and Egyptians have every right to be angry over this. This is rewriting their history, and history isn't something you can just rewrite because it doesn't fit with what you think it should fit with. Your own personal bias to it shouldn't alter the facts of history. You can't just turn around and go, well, no, I don't want these historical figures to be white. We'll make them all black now. That's not how history works. That's not racist, that's just facts. And Egypt isn't just making its own version of a Cleopatra show, it's also suing Netflix over the Cleopatra show. So Netflix has done a lot of damage with this show, and how many more shows are going to continue doing this in is going to remain to be seen. But if this Egyptian lawyer successfully sues Netflix, I don't think they're going to be able to continue doing it for much longer. It's not a good look for them. They've got a lot of backlash over this, and they've got the worst audience score in a TV show history on Rotten Tomatoes for the show, and it's just not been well received. And I'm quite glad it hasn't, to be honest, because the arrogance of its creative, why do people need it to be white? People don't need her to be white. She just was white historically. And the fact that she's upset that actual Egyptians are annoyed at the fact that the race swapped one of their biggest historical figures because she decided she didn't like that she was white, but she can't understand why Egyptians are angry. It's just absolutely insane. It really is. But what do you guys think about this? Have you seen the show? Do you think it deserves its worst score in TV history? Do let me know in the comments below. And that's all from me. I'm off to make a fresh cup of tea.